day I wake, I make my mind up. I'ma be the one, be the truth, be the way. Every day I wake, I make my mind up. Gotta keep my mind on the because they only telling their side of the story. Out here telling lies like they on Morid. And poor rich kids get their money on phone it. But down here in the hood, yeah, we know Forex. We growing up, yeah. We got the good. Good of them assets, good of my bag. Get rid of cash before the whole market crash. A news flash, just a blast from the past. We on the smash now. Be prepared to hit the gas, yeah.
Build a land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch your game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, and we travel.
Try.
Blood eye, and we travel.
Woo. That's my child. Woo.
Blood eye, and we travel. Hey, hey, hit him with the higher. Yeah. Sherry no Aka from Virginia. Yeah.
I know I'm more because I'm blessed. I know I'm more. I passed the test.
We got to see with the true eyes. We need some brand new bright ideas. We got the hearts and some great minds, yeah. If we could all just be sincere.
Build a land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, and we travel.
Try.
Blood eye, and we travel.
Woo. That's my child. Woo.
Blood eye, and we travel. Build a land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We divide, blood eye, and we travel. Hey, hey, hit him with the higher, yeah.
Peace to the party. It's your homeboy reporting live. Welcome to another Sunday service. Very, very happy to have y'all here. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate all the support, all the love, all the Patreon subscribers, all the party members, and all the people that's still on the fence trying to figure out what we about and just tapping in. We appreciate y'all too. But what we definitely need is, man, hit the like button, man, or the dislike. You know what I'm saying? Be autonomous. Let us know why in the comments, though. Either way. Hey, but what's up, y'all? Another week. So, got a lot to cover. The build is definitely going to be powerful. Before we get to that, though, you know, we always start with what's happening present day. Try to tie it all together, right? So right now it's going crazy with the whole, so the Democrats, what they trying to tell black people right now is, well, we finna go back to slavery, all right? The civil rights has been dismantled. We don't know how we gonna be able to vote now, y'all. That's what they telling us, bro. And it's crazy because it's right on cue. You know, midterms coming up. Give them something to, you know, they've been real low. They ain't got no policy and things to go off of. So here's how they drum up some conversation, some momentum to get us to feel sorry for them and recycle the same play that they've been running, the 52 dive that they've been running forever. It's too many of our people still going for it, still up in arms on Facebook, acting like the world is finna end. Every day I get people messaging me like seriously concerned for their own well-being and where the country is going. And I just gotta pump the brakes on them a little bit and just hit them with a few things to make them realize, bro, what in your real reality is different now with the so-called president in office versus any other president in our lifetime. Our community has steady been going in a decline. The moral compass that we possess is damn near out the window, but we steady worry about the orange man bad instead of the real reality of what's happening. And here go another prime example, right? Another prime example of where we are today. It's 2026, and these folks, these rich off racism Black Democrats, steady talking using the same talking point. There's nowhere else in any other position where you could be still using the same mission and talking points from 40, 50 years ago and still be considered effective at your position. Think about what I'm saying now. If the features on YouTube is the same 40 years from now as they is now, that's a problem. That shows a lack of growth. So they won't blame the system, right? And of course, we historians, we done broke down the system. We understand the role that it plays. But then guess what? Once you keep going against the system so many times, you should have learned it better. You should be approaching it with different strategies. But these folks telling us right now that they making it to where we can't vote. So it just so happened the whole voting rights. And for those of y'all who've been rocking with us, we already covered the initial framing of this conversation because I knew it was going to come to this. You know what I'm saying? So now here we are back to Louisiana, the case that with the whole redistricting of the maps. So now it didn't pass and not in favor of the Democrats. So the way they co-imposition this to us is they so-called constituents is that, see y'all, we fighting to be able to keep y'all to vote and they want to take it away. And there's people who really going for that. So before we go over there, I'm gonna play this video by the Vox. Shout out to them. They did a good breakdown because I want y'all to really don't take it from my side. I'm gonna play what the other side got to say. Then we're gonna talk about it a little. They did a good breakdown because we need to understand the facts so we can speak from an autonomous perspective. We ain't just regurgitating, right? But before we do that, you know, I like to go play a message from the elders, right? When they talking their good talk. Check this out.
These black leaders, I'm afraid, have become leading blacks. And don't ever confuse leading blacks with black leaders. I'll tell you why you don't do that. One of the reasons you don't confuse them, black leaders are chosen by you. They're chosen by the people they're going to lead. They're chosen by us. But let me tell you about the leading blacks. The leading blacks are chosen by the media. Leading blacks are chosen by ABC, all broadcasting Caucasians. Leading blacks are also chosen by NBC. Nothing broadcasting but Caucasians. And the rest are chosen by CBS, the Caucasian broadcasting system. And when you allow leaders to be chosen by the media that's owned by the corporations, when you get ready to change your lives, when you get ready to demonstrate, when you get ready to march, when you get ready to come to the covenant, then you must take the time to carefully watch and see what the leading blacks are doing. Because that's when the leading blacks sneak into the door to the corporations, and they will tell the corporations, oh, we know how to go and put them down. We know how to get you some real affirmative action Negroes to come in here and work. We know how to do that. But at the end of the day, the leading blacks lead the corporations, and the leading blacks have gotten paid while we have gotten played.
They rich off racism, man. Shout out to a bro who I think his name Pyro, who coined the term. But they literally have them leading blacks that she just mentioned. They all over. Think of now, unbiased. Think about what I'm saying. Out of all the popular politicians that are black, the Democrats is the ones that got real. They the only ones that are in black media. You see what I'm saying? They come. Jasmine Crockett is a prime example. There is no equivalent a black woman who is a Republican who has the same type of press time. And all the Republican women, AOC, Elon, you feel what I'm saying? It's literally this was part of the Democratic play. They the ones that's in with the entertainment industry, the media. It's just the truth of the matter. Okay, so now it's been understood what it was. We got ancestor is Hosea Williams. A certain sector of black folks who rebelled, the autonomous ones who rebelled, and they tried to write them out. They tried to leave them out of the equation because they didn't want people going with that methodology. They wanted us to follow this same yellow brick road that they laid for us. You feel me? So with that in mind, now check out this video. This is from the Vox. They're doing a breakdown on what's happened in the case about the redistricting of the Voting Rights Act. So let's be clear. This has absolutely nothing with the act itself being repealed. As we know, we break down, legal documents like this. The act has multiple sections. This is just addressing one particular section and really one part of the section. But we're going to get to that in wide matter. They get a good breakdown. We're going to start from here.
The Voting Rights Act is not just a victory for black Americans. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., it enriches the lives of all Americans.
The Voting Rights Act of 1965 is a very big deal. It transformed America, marking the end of the Jim Crow era and effectively banning racial discrimination in elections.
When Lyndon Johnson came into office, he made black civil rights a priority.
It is to give all our people the right to choose their leaders. To deny this right, I think, is to deny democracy itself.
When Congress passed the Voting Rights Act, they talked about it as, being this crown jewel, right? Like that they had finally righted a wrong.
The stunning thing about the Voting Rights Act is just how fast it worked. So on the day it was signed, less than 7% of black eligible voters in the state of Mississippi were registered to vote. Just 2 years later, that number was 60%.
But in the past few decades, conservative justices on the Supreme Court have taken major steps towards dismantling it.
Supreme Court just finished hearing arguments in a major Republican challenge to the Voting Rights Act. This is a case that could gut key provisions that prohibit racial discrimination in redistricting.
He's talking about the Louisiana versus Calais case. At first glance, it might look like yet another scuffle over who gets their way when it comes to drawing electoral maps. But the truth is, there is a lot at stake here, and you should care about it. Because if the plaintiffs in this case get their way, the Voting Rights Act could be erased, and America could be
You see how it's being framed? The Voting Rights Act can be erased, which is such an egregious way to frame it. You feel me? But for the media, it's genius, right? Because what's it going to do? It's going to drive fear. It's going to drive a reaction. When you get a reaction out of somebody, they'll keep streaming it. They'll talk about it. They'll want to know more about it. But that's so much of a lie, like that is crazy. But I wanted you to see the other side, right? Because they did a good job presenting the facts. It's just the spin that they putting on it.
Transformed again, but this time it would tear down more than half a century of voting rights progress.
The Supreme Court is now set to decide not just if Louisiana must keep 2 majority black districts, but whether the Voting Rights Act can continue protecting minority representation nationwide.
So slap on your I voted stickers and get your notebooks out. Because this video is going to take a trip through history to explain how a shifting Supreme Court got us here, and how this case in Louisiana could upend voting rights and political representation for a
all right, now let's walk. Y'all be on point with the dates.
generation. This is The Docket, a Patreon-exclusive Vox series unpacking the Supreme Court cases that you need to know about. Let's go back in time to 1965. The world got Beatlemania, The Sound of Music was released, and it's also the year when the Voting Rights Act was passed. It was the culmination of years of effort and sacrifice by the civil rights movement. The VRA has been amended several times, but there are 2 key pillars to know, Section 2 and Section 5. Section 2 bans denying the right to vote on account of race, and was also amended to include the right to elect representatives of their choice. Section 5 said that certain jurisdictions with a history of racial discrimination had to get permission from the federal government if they wanted to change their voting laws. The aim was to prevent the
Okay, now, so let's talk as historians, right? So 1965, this around the time that MLK was already realizing that the play, The Burning House, right? So we got the integration, and the whole time that Jim Crow before then was to make voting appeal. Because remember, We held, if you all consider yourself your people from this land, no matter what the mix is in the South, and shit, a lot of other places too, but for sure in the South, where they're saying is these racist areas now that need permission from the federal government to reorganize how they doing. So we thinking that's in protection of us. That wasn't what it was about. The problem was created by the system in order to give us the solution. You feel me? By this time, we was already operating in a whole new jurisdiction that was foreign to us. So getting us to participate in the system is what they wanted. What do you do when you want somebody to really have something? Tell them they can't have it. That'll draw them in. This is what brought us into the system. Remember this now. So then now here you come, the first one. This is section 2. So basically what they saying is you have the right to vote whoever you want to vote for. And if you in this racist southern area, they can't just change the districting to oppose or to help any particular race. But they said it was for sure meant for white and black people.
States and jurisdictions on this map, mostly the South, from passing laws that would discriminate against black voters. We're going to look at 3 major cases since then that are key to understanding Louisiana versus Calais. First stop, 1986. A case called Thornburg versus Jingles built upon Section 2 and established rules governing when an alleged racial gerrymander violates the VRA.
The 2 most important factors under Jingles, one is whether a state has residential segregation. So, white people tend to live in one part of the state, black people tend to live in another part of the state, and also whether it has racially polarized voting. So voters of one race tend to vote for the Republican Party, voters of the other race tend to vote for the Democratic Party. And the reason why the Supreme Court honed in on those 2 factors is that when you have voters clustering together, and you also have racial polarization, that tends to produce 2 separate political communities where it's very easy for whichever racial group is in the majority to essentially cut the other group out of power by just drawing maps where they don't have any representation. And so you need to draw additional black districts, additional Latino districts, additional districts to make sure that that minority group also has representation.
As a result of Jingles, the number of black representatives shot up thanks to the creation of more majority black districts. The second case, which came in 2013, was not.
Okay, so wait. So they just saying for the record that because of what was set up by 1986, the number shot up for black representation in politics. And I'm sure most of us, this is our lifetime, we would agree. We have seen buku black politicians in our lifetime, majority of which would be Democrat. Okay, no matter why, that's just the facts. So with that being said, with all this help that's been had to put our people, well, I ain't gonna say our people that look like us in a position, you got your black caucuses, you got all these entities that say they specific, NAACP, we can go on and on, the SPLC, all these ones that was created to specifically help black people. Wait a minute. What's the policy? What are the tangible things that we can point to? With all of this, if they say that we needed this so bad and we've had this district and it's been in place this whole time. So certain things that built upon that have even opened up the floodgates even more. We just had a so-called black president with Obama, right? And he the one talking about this, insinuating how bad it is and how it's going to be for black people. Whole time, if it wasn't for this type of district inhabiting, he wouldn't even been in office. And guess what? White people had to vote for Obama too, bro. So this whole notion that they trying to say and insinuate that because they can't district this way anymore, the black vote is in jeopardy. What really in jeopardy is the black Democrats who was using this to guarantee they had a certain amount of seats to go do the bidding of who knows who, because it definitely wasn't for black people. Because hey, I'm all for stacking the deck. If that deck is finna be helping us, but clearly the stuff these folks talking about is not representative of anything I would want for black Americans. Hey, and so we just got to get past the point of, it's a lot of folks in our what they call the conscious community who don't want to deal with politics, but you don't understand politics gonna deal with you though. it just is what it is. So we just try to break it down and make it correlate to history so you can understand the importance. But this that substance we need to understand. So I want to get to I want them to show you the map so I can show you how egregious this is.
So favorable to the Voting Rights Act. One of the key pillars of protection, Section 5, was struck down in a case called Shelby County versus Holder in a 5-4 decision. The result was that states and jurisdictions that used to have racist voting laws passed a number of new voting restrictions that disproportionately affected minority voters.
We saw a flood after the Shelby decision, a flood of laws designed to make it hard just to show up at the polls.
The premise of the Shelby County majority opinion is, well, we don't have all this racism anymore that we used to have in 1965, so we don't need the law that stops the racism that we used to have in 1965.
That left Section 2 as the remaining safeguard to protect the voice of minority voters. Fast forward to 2023. Another gerrymandering case, Allen versus Milligan, is heard by the Roberts Court, now made up of 6 Republican-appointed and 3 Democrat-appointed justices. With the Voting Rights Act on the line once again, the ruling in Milligan upheld essential parts of Section 2 and struck down a racially gerrymandered map in Alabama. Chief Justice Roberts and Justice Kavanaugh voted with the court's liberal minority.
Because this court, or at least its Republican majority, is so hostile to the Voting Rights Act, I think everyone thought they were going to strike down the anti-gerrymandering provisions, overrule Jingles, allow Alabama to have whatever maps Alabama wanted. And everyone, including me, was shocked when that didn't happen.
I wanted to take a second to thank our Patreon members. We're putting this episode of our Patreon exclusive series, The Docket, on YouTube. Videos like this one are only possible through the...
Shout out to the Vox for this video. I'm just trying to get to the map. Here you go, right here. Hold on. Right here. All right, check this out.
2 years before it made it to the Supreme Court. So let me catch you up. In 2022, Louisiana state legislators drew an electoral map called HB 1 that only included 1 majority black district out of 6 statewide, despite the 2020 census showing that 1/3 of the Louisiana population was black. Civil rights groups and community members sued, and it was decided that they needed a new map with 2 majority black districts to reflect the state's population. The new map, SB 8, passed in the state legislature in 2024, and it seemed like it was over. But a group of non-African American...
Hey, so being a Louisiana resident, my home state, right? The pink portion, so this pink portion, the pink and the green is the black districts. Now, what this basically is saying, the very top of the pink, they can say from Shreveport, which is North Louisiana, all the way down to New Orleans, the bottom of the green, is this new district that they did concocted. So it is for sure, and that is no doubt, the heart of where the majority of the black people in Louisiana are, which black people is all over Louisiana, but those are one of the biggest cities. Because in here you got Shreveport, Baton Rouge, and New Orleans, the 3 biggest cities in Louisiana. That's included in this map. So of course, those are the biggest concentration of black people. So this is the map. So even with this map and getting this extended representation for black people, these black cities look terrible, bro. What is we talking about here? And it ain't just the current people. This is decades of abuse when it comes to politics in the state of Louisiana. So for them to use this as an example is crazy, because that representation that we so-called are able to get is part of the reason we in the situations that we in these states. And they trying to use it to where the South needs the most protection because of racism, bro. The South just need competent people, no matter what color they is, to be able to enhance what's going on in these states. I'm pretty sure the average person will be way more willing to show up to these meetings and have conversations when they talk about what money is going within their own city versus them talking about some illegal immigrants. Like, why should my local politicians be worried about some illegal immigrants, bro? You should be worried about your constituents that got you in office. But this is what this whole thing is about, bro. What happened is when they sued, when the black Democrats sued, to get this second district. Now you didn't opened up legal warfare. Cause look, this ain't new. Man, look, in California gained 5 new district seats by doing the same thing. Virginia, they just did the same thing in Virginia. And the Republicans did it too. They did it in Texas. This ain't nothing new. You feel me? So the fact that they making it this big deal now because it's in Louisiana, and this is one of those so-called racist states, and I ain't saying there's no racism in Louisiana. What I'm saying is they make it, you know how with the history, they make it seem like it's this big slave-holding state, right? So this is why now, versus we know that it was really a lot of the black politicians was in Louisiana. You feel me? So it's just funny how this is what the narrative is being now. You got folks that's diving out the window strictly behind the maps. It don't change where you register. It don't change nothing about what it qualified to vote. It's only about political stuff. Most folks don't even know all their districts. Come on, bro. Like, let's keep it a buck. Who know all their districts? You walk up to your average citizen, they don't know all the districts in their state and all their representation by name. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh yeah, facts. Yeah, buku people everywhere you go in Louisiana, you go see black people and white people. We used to that, and it is still some natural segregation. No, you know, it is what it is, but it's a natural order amongst things. And guess what? It's been plenty of mayors, plenty of black representatives in different cities, and they get respect from all races in their position. The police, a lot of black people. So it ain't like you can't. They got to take authority from black people too. We got to keep it real now. Every day ain't no you walking around in the KKK rally in the South. Like, we ain't going for that. Y'all know better than that to make them folks try to act like this is our everyday reality. It ain't. So it's just another way for them to harbor up these emotions, to have us worry about stupid shit, bro. We got way bigger fish to fry than worry about this here. I'm just reporting on it. Hold on, y'all got to sneeze. Yeah, we got way bigger stuff to worry about. But hey, look, that's just to get us ready. Hey, y'all piling on in. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button for us. Don't tell a friend. We finna get to the lecture. Got the Gullah Man Squad. They hit me. They said they ready. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hold on, let me see. We got a couple. The Black Democrat voters were the only reason the CBC was relevant. Now they will be irrelevant. Yes, exactly. So it's the people like the Congressional Black Caucus are the ones who are most afraid because they know their jobs, their positions is on the line. And guess what? They should be. Man, them folks ain't did nothing. Your name is literally the Congressional Black Caucus, meaning you supposed to represent black people. So your resume, the list should be appalling for what y'all done accomplished after all this time, bro. But it ain't. It's the opposite. So we got, hold on. We want to be included in white Jewish settler colony instead of overturning this shit and advocating for land back and reparations. And so, look, so that's a multifaceted approach. So, yeah, it is foolish to, especially if you're begging to be a part of the system and you don't, you know, and then get there and not have any emotion. To me, that don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? But you ain't just about to build something outside of this that think is gonna go in opposition. That ain't realistic because there's levels to this. You feel me? And we ain't even nowhere near prepared to even have them type of conversations. But I feel where you coming from. So bro say, and the CBC should be nonpartisan. That's my whole issue. How can something that has to go for everybody, right? Something that's supposed to cover every spectrum of what a Black American is, how can it only be covered by one party? If it's supposed to be this democratic system, we should have every party that exists should be a part of the Congressional Black Caucus. Every party that exists, so they can get the real thoughts of the people, right? Don't that make more sense? Instead of everybody being a Democrat, don't that sound suspicious? Yep. My elders carry shotguns. Yeah, that's where I'm from, Shreveport. My whole family is from North Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? So trust me, I understand. But it ain't this big spooky place where black folks can't be around white people. That's nowhere near. You know, white people in Louisiana is different. They've been around niggas their whole life. You know what I'm saying? Louisiana white people and Florida white people is completely different types of white people. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. But yeah, you'll be finna. Oh, he said where that music come from? It come from the Gullah Mass Choir, bro. Yeah, straight from the autonomous ministry. But hey, speaking of which, that's a good alley-oop. I'm finna go and bring them in. So hey, look, we're going to the Gullah Mass Choir, and then Matt say he ready. So we're gonna talk about how Indian territory became colonial property. This part 2. We're going to the Carolina Genesis. So that's what it is.
They changed our names, but the truth still lives.
Some say we came from far away. Some say we've always been right here. 2 stories at the same doorway, both chasing what our hearts hold dear.
Old maps, new maps, who's to say? We just want the truth that they erase.
They changed our names, but the truth still lives.
Some say we came from far away. Some say we've always been right here. 2 stories at the same doorway, both chasing what our hearts hold dear.
Old maps, new maps, who's to say? We just want the truth that they erase.
2 roads, 1 people,
still searching for the name they stole.
Baby, 2 roads, 1 people,
still walking back to what we know.
Oh, we rise together, no matter which path we chose. No, 2 roads, 1 people,
still coming home.
Still coming home.
Some want unity to heal the pain. Some want records to clear the lies. But either way, we break the chains and lift the story they deny. Lineage, memory, same heartbeat, just different ways to find our feet.
1 people,
Still searching for the name they stole. Oh, 2 roads,
1 people,
Still walking back to what we know.
oh, we rise. No matter which path we chose. Oh, no, 2 roads, 1 people.
Still coming home.
Still coming home.
we remember.
We remember.
We remember who we are.
They turned our nations into colors, but the truth kept living in our bones. Every step we take uncovers the road that leads us back home.
1 people, still searching for the name they stole.
2 roads,
1 people, still walking back to what we know.
oh, we rise. No matter which path we chose. Oh, road, 2
they painted pictures wide. The story traveled overseas in light. Exiles running from the Inquisition's fire, carrying covenant and ancient choir. Moorish shades in the Amsterdam rain, brown-skinned rabbis with Iberian names. Men that say, open up the book again, said the tribes were living on American plains.
Copper sons, tawny daughters, walked this land before the borders. Everybody knew the signs, everybody felt the line.
Hidden Hebrew in the land, we were written in the sand. From the islands to the Carolinas, same blood, same fire, same promise inside us. If they cover up the truth, still the truth gon' rise again. Hidden Hebrew in the land, you can hear it in the wind. Cromwell reading hope of Israel, saw the prophets in the stories we tell. Said the nations on this copper ground look like Spain's Jews when the sun went down. Puritan eyes saw a mirror too, Old Testament ways in the native crew. Drums like songs, smoke like prayer, memories speaking through the sun-kissed air.
We ain't new to this land,
we been here from the start.
We ain't strangers to the Lord, like I'm branded on the heart.
Hidden Hebrew in the land, we were written in the sand. From the islands to the Carolinas, same blood, same fire, same promise inside us. If they cover up the truth, still the truth gon' rise again.
Hidden Hebrew in the land,
yeah,
you can hear it in the wind.
Carolina line, so Sephardic seas met the Maroon tribes, mixed the prayers with the river tides, colored tongues with that G-Ula flame. Still the same people, though they changed our name. From Suriname heat to the low country sand, that Hebrew root kept holding the land. Oh,
they try to bury what we carry, try to hide it in the maps, but the drums remember stories that the textbooks won't unwrap.
Lift your voice, let the truth run free. We the ones they said we couldn't be. Every exile finds their shore. We've been home forever on Hebrew in the land. We were written in the sand. From the islands to the Carolinas, same blood, same fire, same promise inside us. Truth don't break and truth don't bend. Spirit knows its way back in.
Hidden Hebrew in the land,
let the choir say amen.
Tap in. About to get to it, bro. Let me see if Mac ready. Getting everything pulled up. Yo.
Tap in. What's popping?
We live. Hold on, let me get this.
What's popping, y'all?
Yeah, part 2, bro.
Part 2. I had to come back with part 2, man, because I think we're going to have to cover a couple different places today in America dealing with this Indian territory becoming colonial. You know what I mean? Like, get some detailed, interesting stuff, y'all. And, you know, all these states today that people reside in. You know what I'm talking about? In the history of America. Excuse me. So, you know, I just want to tap in and get into that right there. You know, that's my bill tonight. Going to be on, obviously, the Carolina Genesis. Carolina, because obviously last week we was talking about King Charles II. You see what I'm saying? And we showed you that and how I had his name on there and how he, you know what I mean? So I thought that was something that needed to be a little more addressed. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we here for tonight. It's your boy Mac Aether, though. Gullah Mac. You know what it is. The harsh reality is live life autonomously. Again, shout out to everybody that's listening to us right now live, and then after the fact, you know what it is. Peace to you, Maranatha. Monte, man, before I go in, I always got to say, when you cover the Homeboy with the News section of what we do on Sunday service, you're always giving some new stuff that people really need to pay attention to. You know what I mean? As far as recent things happening. And it's like, I got to say this in the correlation to the Democratic and Republican political atmosphere, midterms and all this stuff going on. And I'm from a Maroon position, see what I'm saying? I'm from an autonomous position. I am not subscribing. We always tell y'all we don't subscribe to neither side. Do what's best for us, the autonomous way. Maranatha again to you, you hear me? And that is really what it's about. So whatever's going to put you in the best position is what we got to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Because that's autonomy. We looking for liberation, prosperity, and all those kind of terms, restoration. You know what I mean? Some say reparations. You know what I mean? But we have to dedicate what we're doing to keeping it about being autonomy. You know what I mean? Autonomous. So when you said that, we run away, people say run away from plantations when they talk about Maroons, right? But really, you think about it, they say run away, but really it's like right now, how you look at the atmosphere where they're saying that black people are leaving the Democratic Party. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Are they running away? Because for the last how long they might have voted this way, but now they're thinking differently or looking into other situations, independent or the Republican or whatever else, or not voting at all. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And doing their own thing autonomously. We obviously know the impact of that. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, for those out there that's been voting, whatever the case, not to vote or strengthen your state level or what you need to see going on in your communities, right? Yep. On federal level, obviously some people say it's, the president's elected, not elected. Yeah. So in our case, we got to be what's in our power about, what we could do autonomously. You know what I mean? And we can't, ain't no running away though. Ain't no, like we talked about the borderland a couple weeks back. You know what I'm saying? We're not running from that. It's just that we're not participating in the political things that we don't think align with what is best for us. And that's correct. Peace to the party. So that's why I always got to say that, you know what I mean? Because some people try to like throw us in automatically. And I don't like that. See, because you caught up on something, man. I got, you know what I mean? What make you shit, don't make me shit. You know what I mean? We don't we don't have to be playing that kind of game. You know what I mean? What you eat, what the phrase is, what you eat don't make me shit. You see what I'm saying? So excuse my French water. Yo, youth out there, but there's some shit out there. Y'all be cussing. Stop playing. But either way, yeah, man, tap in. You want to get to the first joint, you know what I'm saying? All right. And again, shout out to the trustee friends. Y'all make sure y'all tap in with that. Go check out our Patreon. I heard the dude say earlier his Patreon. So go check out our Patreon at theautonomousparty.com. Maroonville, you'll see it. And just click on it where it has the finger saying join. You know what I mean? Our social, atmosphere that we build. And I've been got a lot of more things be gathering to put back there, but so much stuff back there that I'm trying to make sure people get a chance to even catch that part first. You hear me? So tap in. You hear me? What it is? Tap in. You know what I mean? Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, like Mac, man, why you starting off with, you said it's about Carolina, but you know what I'm talking about, now you showing us Florida, though. I know, look in here. I have to show you this first because the overlapping of things before we go into the Carolina, because some people might not understand that. So I gotta, we gonna do the Genesis, right? It's the Genesis. So and it's like some people might look at the biblical point and say, well, there was people here before Adam in Genesis, right? So there was something going on in America before Carolina. You know what I'm talking about? So we're gonna show you certain things because see, this colonial name, you know what I mean, with the indigenous groups that were in these regions, right? These indigenous groups did not have one particular name for the region. Yeah. all these different indigenous groups were not unified in a manner to where they called it one particular thing. Their region, they had a name for it. This tribe had a name for it. This tribe had a name for it, based off of where they at and what they did and what they autonomously controlled within their kingdoms, some people might say. You know what I mean? Confederacies, tribe, clans, etc. You know what I mean? Empire, imperial. From their standpoint of it. Go ahead, though. Yeah.
So what that so if you coming in from a European mindset and you where everything is accounted for, everything got a name, then you come to this territory that looking like a lick. These ain't no real names or no paper about none of this shit, and they food everywhere. So put them in this the mindset of why this became such a popular place for these boys.
You see, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why people are having such a hard time in even trying to correlate this new world ideal, because of the fact that if you're coming, like you said, from a European colonial ideal of things, who are going around at this time to other places, not just in the new world, and giving names to these areas that they're colonizing, right? Then you using a colonial term and not even knowing it. Shout out to the Creole, but you can't help it because your people came out of that time frame of being born in the colonial time when these things are developing. You know what I mean? There's nothing to be ashamed of. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah.
It is what it is. You know what I mean? So remapped. I like how someone said that in the chat just now.
Yeah. Facts.
So it's a whole bunch of remapping going on though over time. We're talking about So again, I had to show this first, and again, just to put it in context, because and that term at the top you see there, it's a septum trio, right? That's like north. That's like meaning North America, by the way. It's another way to say septenalius. You know what I'm talking about? It's another version of that. Sept. That you see sept like you think September, right? But it's septum trio. It's telling you we in North America, by the way. All right, so on a mapping standpoint of them mapping this region right here, right? So this is Spain again, but I just want to make sure I put that out there for everybody to see before we go into the how it's going to show you something. Watch. Go to the next one, Monte, when you get a chance.
All right, hold on one second. See what the next one was. Jump work. Here we go.
All right, boom. Let's see if we can get this map right here. We're gonna show you, a couple of highlights here. If we can get a little bit bigger here.
Oh, you want to see the map bigger?
Yeah, well, map a little bit. I'm gonna read a little bit of the first paragraph, right? But just want to, it's like we're gonna walk them into it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be straight. You want to read first?
Yeah, let me read that first. Boom. All right. So obviously, that first map we showed you, going to this one, we're gonna show you this one too, and their development and how things are going about, right? Spanish Florida can be defined as a broad geographic region within which Spanish colonial settlements and affiliated Native American groups interacted within a multi-ethnic colonial society, at least nominally administered as part of the broader Spanish colonial empire between the 16th and the 18th centuries. The geographic extent fluctuated considerably over the 250-year period between 1513 and 1763, and formalized, if mostly theoretical, boundaries were not even established until competing European powers began to encroach on Spanish Florida's northern and western margins. Am I right? Yeah. During the 17th, only a handful of true colonial settlements ever existed within Spanish Florida. All right. And then it tells you.
Hey, wait. Only a handful of true colonial settlements. So meaning they had the territory, but they ain't have a lot of people that was actually there settling, building cities.
No, they didn't have no bunch of setup and nothing like that. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. That's not what they're telling you that. So, especially in North America, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That area. So, La Florida, you feel what I'm saying? That whole region. You know how West and East Florida is, all that. So again, where was I? Hold on real quick. Okay, only a handful. I read that part. Boom.
Yep.
Throughout this era, and these were inhabited predominantly by people with ancestral roots in Europe, Africa, and other locations in the Spanish New World, Central and South America, and Oceania. You see that? So, however, within what was otherwise a predominantly indigenous landscape of southeastern Indian chiefdoms affiliated with and assimilated within the Spanish colonial system. A range of subordinate colonial outposts also served as a more or less formal structural link between the main colonial settlements and the much more numerous native communities around them, right? So boom, they let you know to set the groundwork. See, that's why I had to do it like that, walk in, right? So if they're letting you know, Spain's telling you before British, Carolina, any of this is established, right? That this is what it looked like. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, just the landscape.
Just the landscape. So you can get a visual. We all on the same page about what they're telling you from their colonial standpoint, what they doing in the new world, North America, right? So the two comparative maps, we're going to show you these maps below. And it says click to expand. What you're going to do, portray the actual locations inhabited on the landscape by Spanish soldiers, missionaries, and other colonists for at least a few months during the entirety of the first Spanish period. And that's that period is showing you 1513 to 1763. Remember these dates, all right? Split between the time before and after the year that the Franciscan missions, that's going to be, we're seeing Franciscans now, and people who's here, truly began to spread, 1587, all right? Then it says, as can be seen, a gauge by actual inhabitation. During the 16th century, Spanish Florida was geographically extensive, but only sporadically and sparsely occupied by Spaniards. But after this early era of military exploration and garnished outposts, Florida grew more slowly and methodically and was much more restricted in size, fundamentally tied to the missionized native province. You heard it says missionized native provinces, all right? It administered. You see how it says administrated them? These are Indians that Christians, by the way. These are the Indians that became Christian. Okay, Catholic. Yeah, all right. Through most of both periods, native population far outnumbered Spanish. You heard that? Far. Outnumbered. Far. Very far. Okay. And then it says, and only a small percentage of the territory was actually occupied and controlled by Spanish authorities. So this is what's happening all the way up until now. I told you Fort Caroline, right? Fort Caroline was before La Florida, technically being an outpost in North America. French, the Huguenots, we tell you that, you know what I mean, when we were breaking down. See, Fort Carolina. I'm gonna give you all this today. Now, at the same time, within the context of what's going on, the Spanish came in and ran them out with the natives. You see what I'm saying? Now, boom, that don't mean all the French is left, but the outposts ain't no longer, you know what I'm talking about? I guess they had to run away. You know what I'm saying? No, if they ran away, who they running away amongst? The people who were mainly there at the time, as it just said.
The native population.
The native population.
And then the blend of Europeans that had already came, the blend of people that had already came from who, they have no account of these people.
No account of what
they just know they there.
They just know these people help, right? That part. See, a lot of people don't understand that because they be thinking like these people have so much control. I don't know. It's like a romanticism with trauma. But however, that's why the details got to be laid out. So, with that being said, you can show the map. You know what I'm talking about? Real quick, show the map. So you see that word? Remember last week we were talking about Apchicola?
Yeah.
Right. Remember that was an outpost, right? He's an outpost. See how that? See that, right?
And so this word right here, garrison. So that's military term. Basically, it's saying a permanent base is being set up. So all the people that's here and doing at this time is only military people. They're not sending folks to settle. Like they said, it's still exploration going on. So all of these places are and them just setting up shop. It's not where they actually building cities like regular citizens.
Right. That's why some of these names like Wale, that's the name of an indigenous groups of people. The Makoma, that's the name of indigenous groups of people. The Chakata, that's the name of the Temuco right there. That's the Mayaka, that's another name. You know what I mean? The Cayos down there, all the way at the bottom, 1743. That's the name of like some of these places. They're actually adopting the indigenous names, of the people and what's going on. But the certain other things, like see the Appalachia right there. See what I'm saying? Like they're and as you said, though, linguistically, some of these terms you come to find out come about because of European influence of how these names also become place names of these groups of people too. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though you don't find them over there in Spain, you don't find them over there in Africa. You know what I mean? These names are tied to still, I would say, be indigenous to what's happening here. You hear me? So that's the first map. I just want to make sure that you can see something real quick though. You hear me? Like so the Kusa, our Indian territory now, it's going to show the colonial territory. You know what I'm talking about? This is a little more spread. Yeah, there's more spread. Yeah. That's why I want to show them both. You know what I mean? So and remember, Florida, this is all Florida. Everywhere you see.
Yeah.
That's all Florida.
That's what it was called at the time.
Right, at the time, this is all Florida. All the way up there.
And so all of these is just, they go as far as they get, they set up an outpost, they set up a base.
Right.
And that's they say. So this is how when they say they can get ran out or they can run people out. If you lose your base, you lose your bases. Now you ran out because you ain't got cities to go flee to.
That part.
And you don't want to go be out here in just the wild because you know what you're gonna run up against.
That part. Yeah. That whole part right there. So this is what, again, and they already tell you who they're outnumbered. They already told you that. We read that to you first. So there it is on that. You know what I mean? You see how far out there is though, Florida? Now, when you think of Florida today, you think Florida all the way down here.
Just this part right here. Right? Yeah.
Florida. Now you see that all this is here Spanish ideal, colonial ideal of what this area is. Now, Carolina comes into play at a certain point, you know what I mean, as we get ready to go into. But I want to make sure I gave you what was already going on prior to the origin and Carolina Genesis situation. You see what I'm saying? So, what's next? Let's go ahead. I want to make sure because we got a lot of information in here tonight.
Yeah. That's where we at with it.
Yep. Charles, like for the Charles, the first and the second Charleses, that Carolina is tied to the crown of. Yeah. So obviously Charlestown. You see that map right there? This is their layout of Charlestown when they came in. I love looking at maps. I ain't gonna lie to y'all sometimes, especially the old ones, on how they, because see how it says at the top, it says Charleston. They got the plan, a plan of the town. See how that harbor of Charleston. You know what I'm saying? They're taking the river, everything. When you go look at these areas where they're looking at, so they see the little outpost they got. That's it.
Yep.
That's Charleston. Cooper River. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure they see these maps. So, yeah. All right, bet. So I'll read a little bit from this one. I just wanted to show you now we in Charleston. Growing pains, see? Because obviously, just like how the Spanish, these folks have some issues too now, right? We're dealing with the indigenous people. You know what I'm talking about? So again, recently, person sitting on the council chamber of Charleston City Hall, by the way, it gets into all that. But I want to go to that second paragraph where it says Charlestown was established in April 1670 by approximately 200 Europeans who settled at the Albemarle Point on the west bank of the Ashley River. This was the first settlement and the seat of government for the nascent colony of South Carolina. 10 years later, in 1680, the government and the name Charleston moved to the opposite side of the Ashley River, to the peninsula formerly known as Oyster Point. Throughout the rest of our colonial period and the American Revolution, Charleston remained South Carolina's principal town and seaport, its seat of commerce and government, and its most densely populated community, despite all of the social, political, and economic advantages that it enjoyed during the first 113 years of its existence. However, Charleston was in some ways a defective entity, a locked municipal government. You hear me? So these terms you see, right? They're setting up government. You know what I'm talking about? They show you what time frame now. You know, some people say that slaves were brought to North America in 1619, right? Some people say that, right? The project and all they got out the 1619 project. So when you look at the landscape of them saying they brought in people in 1619, that's what people that latch on to that idea that that's when they were brought here. Well, Carolina wasn't established yet. You know you're on mute, or is it me?
Nah, it was me, my bad.
Okay, make it show. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Carolina.
But yeah, nah, you're right though.
I guess they're gonna say, well, it was Virginia, and we're gonna do Virginia too. Shout out to my people out of Virginia, Norfolk. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. But at the same time, this is still we dealing with obviously the origins of things that's happening with Carolina, right? So to put the status of early Charlestown, you know what I mean, in the proper perspective, let's think back to the way communities were organized in ancient England and the early English colonies of North America. A village or hamlet of what have you is a settlement comprised of multiple families living in close proximity and forming, to some degree, a self-sustaining community. That sounds like something autonomous, right? It says it is if a superior legal entity, such as a monarch or a parliament or a legislative assembly, grants to such a settlement a charter, that is legal permission to hold a public market, then the settlement is raised to the level of the market town. A small town might have an informal system of self-government, autonomy, while a larger town might have a more robust council of representatives elected by the local constituents. Regardless of its size, however, an English or early Anglo-American town is not incorporated. That is to say, it is not a corporation. To obtain corporate status or to be incorporated as a body politic. Listen to the game now. One needs a grant or charter from a superior legal body that empowers the corporation to make its own laws and to levy and collect its own taxes. The city of London, for example, received its corporate charter in 1067. Other English cities usually achieved city status after constructing a cathedral. Shout out to the ministry. In North America, there were only a handful of English cities. New Amsterdam, later, we know it is New York, the Yankees, right? The Dutch. Then, for example, received its city charter in 1653. The city of Philadelphia, founded in 1682, was incorporated in 1701. Annapolis, we call it Indianapolis, right? With the I, see how that changed? Maryland, I'm tripping, was incorporated in 1708. From a legal perspective, nearly every other settlement on this continent was simply a village, a town, or a market town. So we went from the Spanish territory, showing you there was forts and how Spain came over, right? And how they were setting up shop. And then we start to see the development and how these people were functioning and dealing with what they were dealing with when they set up their shop, dealing with Carolina, Charleston, for instance. The system of it, how they dealt with letting people come in, trade, workforce.
And get established.
Getting established, you know what I mean? This is tied to the origins of Carolina being established now. Right here, it's going to let you funny enough know that by the authority of the Lord proprietors, see, because I'm getting ready to get to King Charles II and everything. This is what this is tied to when they say this. It says the first settlement in the colony was a market town named in honor of King Charles II of England. It remained unincorporated for 113 years. Do y'all hear this?
Long time.
How long? The Lord proprietors, you moving like an unincorporated for 100? What? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want y'all to just peek game now. You know what I'm saying? It's just during which the name Charleston or Charlestown accurately reflected its inferior political status. Nowadays, we tend to play fast and loose with this terminology. So you might hear people talk about the colonial city of Charleston or the city of fortification of colonial Charleston or the city limits of colonial Charleston. But technically speaking, all of this nomenclature is inaccurate. For the entire colonial era, Charleston was nothing more than an unincorporated market town with no independent system of municipal government. The fundamental constitution. Y'all remember this? Huh? I'm going to stop for a minute. Do y'all remember us reading to you about the fundamental constitution?
I hope they've been paying attention, bro. It's putting it all together.
They brought the Jews. They said they allowed Jews to be in Carolina in that constitution.
Yeah.
We'll pull it up later on. We'll see. These are things we kind of covered with y'all, but I like this source for that reason, because it's walking everything into what we kind of covering. You know what I mean? So show you the insight of what's going on within it. Now, this fundamental constitution of Carolina, written by the Lord proprietors of the colony, ordered the creation of the counties, which were to be divided into precincts, excuse me, each with its own courts and officers to serve the various settlements to be made in Carolina. In reality, however, the settlers established courts in Charlestown only and spent the rest of their energies developing rural populations in the pursuit of personal profit. In this administrative respect, South Carolina diverged greatly from the English models, followed by all of the colonies to the northward. So, see, Carolina is like, when we look at all the other colonies being set up, this is like the British finding out what's going to really work. You know what I mean? With this economic, political system, trade amongst the indigenous people, by the way. You know what I'm talking about? As they tell you, that's Spanish Florida. Carolina, period, before it was split between North and South Carolina, at one time was called La Florida. And the indigenous people had their own names for these areas. However the case might be, they be called states today.
Hey.
Yeah.
And I think so the real game here, like especially for research purposes, as them Lord proprietors, them letters they was writing, it tell you what they were saying back, because they are the ones who are the spokesperson for what's happening here, to let these folks know, hey, this was going on with your subjects in these colonies. And then basically the reason why I was unincorporated for all that time, they was not booming. That's just what they telling you right here. It was not booming. So how could a place that's not booming, that don't have all this legal framework together, how could they facilitate all of this slavery?
That's very, we're going to get it. As a matter of fact, this person right here, King Charles II, he is tied to me. Everybody, matter of fact, before we move on to the next slide, I want to say this. A lot of people in history, we hear people use this word African, and we have issues with African, right? And I might not get into it. It's coming soon, though, depending on our schedule. Probably our next build, that's going to be tied to this. I mean, which is the Royal African Company, all right? Because it's not with Carolina, King Charles II and the first, but technically the second, and his brother, Duke of York, who took over Netherlands. See what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's how we get New York Yankees, which was the Dutch, Netherlands. However, this situation and how the British come about and make their move in North America, tied to what we call today the 13 colonies, and Negroes being brought in, as they would say, obviously how they dealt with indigenous peoples, and obviously the Europeans they brought too for labor. You know what I mean? And settlement and different things like that. King Charles II is tied to the Royal African Company. Yeah. And at this time, funny enough, they're not even they're calling the people that they're bringing tied to the Royal African Company Africans. They're using terms like Negro. They're using terms like Blackamoor. You know what I'm saying? In this time frame of the 1600s, when this is being developed, we call Carolina. This is the verbiage in their records on ship ledgers and all at this time. Even you might even find Ethiopia.
And they all exist.
Yeah, and it's all there. We've gone across this, right? Have we not?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We know who's coming in and how what they're being described going into the time frame of what now is being called Carolina or Florida, depending on where you at, right? You know what I'm saying? So at that point, remember, ain't no Georgia yet. See what I'm saying? Georgia come later in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, King James II. You heard me? Yeah, that's right, Duke of York. You know what I'm saying? So, and he's the one right here, Duke of York. He the one that said he was stamping his property with the DY. I'm gonna show y'all that coming up soon. I'm gonna tell y'all. Either way, Carolina though. We can go to the next slide. You know what I mean? The next joint though. We didn't even get to the slides yet. Carolina Genesis. Here the slide is. Slide on in then. All right. Wait. No. Origin first, Monte.
Say it again.
The origin one first. This one's there's two different slides.
Oh, hold on.
It's two different ones. I got two of them for y'all.
Oh, man, how I got this one there?
Cause I want both of them, but I want to do them in order though. Cause this one's
No, I'm saying I don't see this one. Oh, I see what it is. Hold on.
Yeah.
So you wanted the
book right? We're gonna enter
you
more.
wanted the origin.
That's the finisher. That's right. Carolina Genesis. Yeah.
Let me resend it to myself.
I thought I did. Oh, I did.
Nah, you did. I sent it to myself because you sent it earlier. That was a couple of days before.
Oh, for sure.
Part of it.
Last week somebody said coconut water and tree.
Yeah, in the comment, yeah.
That was funny. Smart water, whatever you get yourself comfortable. You heard me? Margaritas and reefer, whatever you got going on. Yeah.
Eyes low.
No pressure.
All right, here we go.
That money. All right, so the origin of Carolina, y'all. What we're going to get into, see, it says historical breakdown of the name first. We got to get to, once you make sure you get all the details in. We doing this the autonomous way. You heard how we do when a bill come in like this, right? I get my mind right real quick before I lock in. The historical breakdown, it just says imperial roots. We know we've been showing you as the last, source broke down the Lord Proprietors, Carolina, Charles. And remember last week with our guest, shout out to Travis, America Decoded, and he was like the name Carlos, right? Carlos, Charles. Somebody in the chat too was like, well, Carlos. Well, where does Carolina, right? All that right there, boom. So I thought that's what led me to say, yeah, we're gonna have to come back and spin the block on this one. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So you slide down real quick. We're gonna get into it. All right, so linguistic origin. Yeah, I told you English I had, so that's why I got to go do etymology. Is very, you know what I mean? All right, so derived from the Latin Carlos. See, French, even though it's French, we know French, but French is still rooted in Roman Catholicism, so they would be using Latin too. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We can't get that confused, right? So, derived from Latin Carlos, right, meaning Charles. So if you didn't know that Charles in English is Carlos in Latin, now you know. Know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So Carolina equals land of Charles. See what I'm saying? Used to denote royal possession. You know what I'm saying? This is how we just said. We going from Indian territory, Spanish, right? They're amongst a whole bunch of indigenous now. Who's coming in, making a claim? Right, here you go, right here. You know what I'm saying? And we showed you last week the map where it got his borderline written and everything, right? We can bring it back if we have to. Slide down though. You know what I mean? We got the maps now. They've shown you, they denote French origin. See, someone just said French, right? See, the name La Caroline by French explorer. Honored. Look, it's the different. This Charles is not the same Charles as King Charles II or the first of the British. This is a French. You see what I'm saying? But it's happened to be King Charles still. That's where people get maybe confused, right? Be like, wait, hold on. Then why they had a Fort Caroline, right? What's going on with that? See, I want to break that down too from last week when we was in the week before with the Creole joint. I want to make sure this all correlate. You know what I'm saying? Why Fort Caroline and the whole Carolina thing. You heard me? French, Spanish, all this things happening in North America, right? So here we go. Associated with Fort Carolina in Florida, as I just said. So we sliding now. So hope that clarity came in. We now on the same page on that right there. All right, Spanish takeover. So that's why we show you the maps first, right? Coming into the Carolinas. So it's almost like a review, right? Live though. Spain destroyed the French colony, and I said this to you already. Regions became part of Spanish Florida. Name faded, but was not erased. You heard me? So yeah, that's what does. English revival. All right, so Charles I, England granted the land. 1629 all the way to 1663. This is with this time frame between these two Charleses. So don't get them Charleses confused with the French Charles. You heard me?
Yeah.
So Charles II expanded it in 1663, though. You know what I'm talking about? When we just got to talking about Lord Proprietors. So the Lord Proprietors don't come into play until this time frame, 1663. See what I'm saying? That's when Carolina actually becomes like what we just got to reading to you with all the market towns and the Lord Proprietors setting up a market town in Charleston and all this stuff. Yeah, that's what that is right there. The province of Carolina established. This is the time frame. There you go right there. Now we're going to slide. Lord Proprietors. See, 8 of them. You know what I'm talking about? Nobles governed Carolina. It took 8 of them. And they still didn't have no power really over those. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
You ain't getting about no Lord. Boy, I slapped the shit out you. Yeah. he gonna write back.
Hey,
my Lord.
13
this
years.
is disrespectful.
These 8 guys in 113 years could not incorporate. You know what I'm talking about? Like they were having so much, anyways, operated as a proprietary colony, focused on expansion and profit, as I just read to y'all on the other source. See how they all correlate? Keep on sliding. All right, then. Lord Proprietor. See, keep on get to the division of Carolina. So split, you know what I'm saying? The split taking place, right? When people say the split, it's time frame. Man, we just 1663, we getting all the way 113 years they couldn't incorporate. But then we see split take place, see, in 1712. Now, what's happening around 1712 too? There's a war going on outside nobody's safe from. The Yamasee War. Uh-oh. Yeah, y'all forgot? Yeah, that's what's happening in the region of the Carolinas. There's a war going on outside. You know what I'm talking about? The Wale, man, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on outside. Don't let them fool you now, if you understand it. Don't let the overlapping as if it's just a lay down, get down, lay down. No, it's not happening that way. You know what I mean? But again, though, things is happening due to governance and geographic differences. So they were even all on the same page. And if people think that the Europeans were all on the same page, or their governances or their systems they were trying to set up were all having the same ideal, they were conflicting with each other. You know what I'm talking about? They were having issues, y'all. Yeah. But so either way, next joint, keep sliding. Economic role, but the Carolinas is very robust in the plantation lifestyle. So when we think about plantation system, they talk about slavery restricting the 13 colonies, you know what I mean? Plantation systems, and Indians and Africans and Europeans working on plantation lifestyle. This is tied to this situation. And the rice, the indigo, the cotton, right? All that being developed within the Carolina territorial. And it's not just off the seashore either. You know what I'm talking about? This is inland, which at one point would be considered Florida territory prior to King Charles II claiming this area. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So
so this where oh my bad, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna read the rest of that. Go ahead though.
So this is where it started getting interesting, right? So we keep it in the same framework. So we got at first French, Spanish take over, Great Britain basically get a hold of this land. Okay, so now you need to import people in. Now we have went through the charters, we have went through a lot of different things. Now this same people who don't got their shit together, they can't when they finna go and all of a sudden get the manpower to go capture people to bring them into this place. Wouldn't it be more likely? So when we see the word slave, we should match it for what the time meant. So major employee importation. And a lot of them folks, just like when we looked at the Royal African Company and the manifest, boy, them ain't just no Africans coming in. It's a whole bunch of Europeans coming through, resettling in these areas.
That part. That whole part right there. Yep. So I mean, and that's what we actually that source we just read from was basically talking about. Like
that's exactly what we were saying.
You see what I'm saying? Everything what they were doing. You know what I mean? Some people again think it was just about like, you know, some old race. There's no such thing as a race theory yet in this time period. And people ain't even thinking about no race theory. We treat these people this way because they Africans. And that's not what's happening. You heard me? Because they ain't got the word for it. Besides the Royal African Company, you're gonna see this really. The Royal African Company. All right, so strategic colonial hub. You heard me? So this is what it is. It's all about them trying to get this money up. You know what I'm talking about? Lord proprietors. They've been given the charter from King Charles II, and the area now, the Lord proprietors are moving to develop this territory now being known as Carolina. We get to where they get to the split, right? Even 1712, we just read that to you. And then this is the economics that's taking place within both these regions. They say that North Carolina became more of a, wasn't as plantation heavy as the South Carolina. And remember this, see, Georgia, right? Georgia is South Carolina. See, somebody missed that because they don't understand when on a timeline, the area of Georgia becomes now Georgia. That was South Carolina, part of Florida, Georgia. That's what Georgia is. Now, slide down. We can keep sliding. So when you say, I got people from out of Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, all that areas the same areas at one point in certain contexts of it. So cultural impact, regions included, the Gullah Geechee corridor, we know it today, you go look it up if you don't know. Blend of African, Indigenous, and European influences. That word African, again, is being used in context of the Royal African Company. But the term at the time is going to say they're using terms like Negro and Blackamoor, right? So we can't even put it in any other, or dark-skinned people, as we would say too. So we're going to keep on sliding. You know what I mean? Keep on sliding. Coach, this is what's happening in the development of Carolina. So in insight, Carolina is a European imperial name, as we just broke down to y'all tonight. Represents ownership, you know what I'm saying? Not indigenous identity. And it's part of colonial reclassification. You heard me? So this is, reclassify, breakdown on how, Carolina gets its origin. You know what I'm talking about? Of how it is. So we can have clarity about it. And if you're doing genealogy based off your people's coming out of the Carolinas in some kind of form of way, then this is something that I think might even help you within it. You know what I'm saying? The context of how things being developed and your people were tied to the Carolina territory or region in any kind of form. So, boom.
And what God agrees that Charleston was also a major slave exportation hub.
Yeah.
Export.
People leaving out. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely was. Take people, send them back to the islands, their other colonies. They needed labor for their other plantation systems, and they were exporting people out into these areas that they were like, you know what? And there was the other indigenous people, right, fighting against other indigenous people who were giving them the labor to export them out. Funny enough. So however the case that worked, y'all need to look into that too. That's the same thing that happened in West Africa when they say that them people were getting picked up. It wasn't like it was just they were conquered people by other groups of people. They were like, we give you this for exchange of this. You hear me? Yeah, we'll do that. It's trade, slave trade. Yeah. So keep it moving. What's the next one? I think it might be done. This one might be done, right?
Yeah, probably.
It's probably done on this one. Because I know Carolina.
Yeah, just a summary.
I bet. Summary, you see the timeline of it from 1560, La Caroline, Spanish control from 1565, 1629, the English revival after, what Charles I was trying to do. And now this is when the British, what we call the 13 colonies, really revives, setting their foot in North America and expanding today what we call the 13 colonies. So 1663, expansion, and then 1712, they had a division. This is all dealing with Carolina. You hear me? So let's keep it sliding. That's right. So, that's part of American culture that we need to know about. See, Carolina, you know what I'm saying? Because, see, a lot of people don't know Carolina's real impact on the 13 colonies. See what I'm saying? And the crown and what they were doing and the trade system and how they dealt with indigenous people differently from how maybe the Spanish or the French dealt with it. You hear me? So that's why, it's very important to know about the colonial time frame of, we like to say, Creole. You heard me? Because Creole means you were born in, your ancestors that were born in the colony colonial time frame of the development of United States of America, before United States of America's development. That's not even here yet, right? There's no race theory here yet either. So in this time frame, we can't attach certain things a certain way when people are even thinking that way in this time period. But however, what you got next on it?
I think it's the video.
I think, let me see the order I got there. Yeah, it's the video. It's a quick little video, everybody,
All right, hold on.
Yeah, and then we're gonna get into the Genesis after that. I want to close out on the Genesis. Tap in.
Most Americans don't know why there
You can hear it?
Yeah, we good.
are two Carolinas. North Carolina and South Carolina actually started as a single territory called Carolina. This territory stretched from the Albemarle Sound in present-day North Carolina to the St. Johns River in Florida. In 1663, King Charles II granted a new charter of this colony to 8 English noblemen as a reward for their support and loyalty. During this transition, the colony was renamed from Carolina to Carolina. But the sheer size of the territory made it difficult to govern effectively. The northern part was characterized by small farms and less economic development, whereas the southern part developed large plantations and a more robust economy. Additionally, North Carolina was spending more resources to defend against the Tuscarora tribe than South Carolina. These increasing tensions between the two regions led the King of England to eventually claim South Carolina for the British crown, leaving North Carolina under the control of the British lords. Most Americans don't.
Oh, yeah. Quick little, you know what I mean? Quick little summary on the video level. You heard me? Just so we can, take a little smoke break. Coconut water and tree. You know what I'm talking about? Or whatever it may be. So, yeah, man, I want y'all to know that right there, Carolina is you see how big Carolina is, y'all?
Yep.
That's why I want y'all to see it from how he broke down on the map. Because I just showed you that first map, right? And how all that area used to be called La Florida. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
That same overmapping, that's remapping by different crowns. They're not even together. You can't even say, the Europeans all the Europeans didn't have the same plans. They weren't rocking with each other because they got this Roman Catholic or even not Roman Catholic ideal of themselves, religiously speaking. You know what I mean? Don't mean they all want to convert you for the same reasons. I guess some people might fall for that though, right?
Yep.
That's not what's happening. So I always try to keep it in context of that. So now it's the Genesis, right? So why the Genesis was used, I used it because of this book. You know what I mean? I read this book to y'all, but because obviously I can't go around it whenever I think of what we call Carolina. See what I'm saying? And I was invited to a Key to the City ceremony a while back. Allensdale, South Carolina, with the UT and Yamasi in South Carolina, and it talked about the Sakahatchee War, and obviously talked about the peoples. And I looked at the peoples that's in that small area of Allensdale, and I would say all of them they look like me, majority of us, right? We the majority of that area. So crazy enough, I would never think to go to that area and just be in the area and see without being invited in that kind of way. However, the case, what I'm getting to is I came back from that trip and I got this book. I don't remember what made me look into getting this book. but I've had this book a very long time. You know what I'm saying? I always tell people that. And every time I think of Carolina, I got to think of this book, Carolina Genesis. See what I'm saying? So I ain't no cap in my rap. If I'm referencing a book to you, I've read this book. You know what I'm talking about? Like I read it a lot. And there's different things in it, in context, that I'm going to tie to Carolina, funny enough, and the development of what's going on to give you kind of, and some of the family names tied to this region and this time frame, right? So just go. I'm gonna go to. Well, we're gonna go right here. We're gonna go here first. We'll go here first. Because I mentioned Shakura, like Appalachian Shakura last week, and the week before that, I think within the last 2 weeks of the bills, and where we talked about Appalachian Shakura and all these different names and different things, Muskogee, just them same areas, indigenous groups of people, like the Muskogee, the Appalachian, the Wale, the Yamasee, the Yuchi, the Chop. It's got so many Shakura. It's so many, the Tuscarora. It's so many names of indigenous groups of people that might get left out. Even the Kusa. I mean, it's a lot of Tumuku. I can't even off the top of my head name them all. To be honest with you, right off one top, right? So many different ones. In this case, though, I always go to this joint right here, though, because it's South Carolina, right? I want y'all to look at this picture right here.
Hold on, let me make you bigger, bro. Hold on. All right.
You see that?
More Gorkons.
Yeah, man. Now that you see how you said it, this name, Amora Gorkon, this is happening in the Carolinas. All right, it's a name, term tied to the Americas. There's other variations of it. Some people might say Amaru. Some people might say Yamasee too. Some people might say, I like to say Amorica. You know what I'm saying? Or like America, but Amorica, Macario, actually. That's the term. I actually, Gullah Estalusti, Macario. Now, it's tied to this term right here, Mogoricon, one more time, which is on page 63 in this book. And on the page to the left of it, see, I can keep going back. No, show another picture. Hold on.
All right.
About this book right here. This book right here, heavy right here. Got DNA in it and all that. It got all the things you people be talking about today. This book been out for a long time. Look at that. Y'all seeing it, right?
Oh, the Landino. Yeah.
You see that Landino term up there?
Mm-hmm.
Now, crazy Chikameka. The Chikameka, look, it's a Chikameka next to it though. See that?
Yep.
Chikameka. Ladino Chikameka being used, right? So peak game of the time frame. All right. Around 1569 on the page, I went back to 60. I ain't gonna cheat y'all, see, because I got a little time. Around 1569, it says on page 60, the religious persecution that drove the Moranos. Now we talking about Carolina, right? Carolina Genesis, right? Okay. From Spain, caught up with the Maroons in New Spain. That would be over here. Spanish colonists placed the refugees under missionary control and mandatory forced labor at the Pucho and Tampico mines. Forced labor at the mines resulted in thousands of deaths from severe and inhumane working conditions for the male descendants of the Mozarabe, which is Sephardic Jews. Women fled to the local Chikameka, which would be indigenous people, and it says Indians. They intermarried into the tribe. What did you say? It said that them people, Moranos, fled the mines and intermarried with this group right here, right? And it says, well, funny enough, they intermarried into the tribe, transmitting their Morano traditions along with their L2A DNA mutations. This is my first time actually seeing that when I read this book with DNA, talking about like that. It was my first time. So either way, they changed their surnames to hide Jewish ancestry, and many took their names of plants or trees such as olivera, like the olive tree, olivera, excuse me. That's the name, olivera. But it's the olive tree, like surname. Peara, like the pear tree. etc. The author's family took the name Junco, which is tied to the reed plant, reflecting their scroll guardian tradition. Their mixed blood offspring became the Ladino Chicameca. Like, damn, man, hold on, wait a second now, hold on. Now, I showed you the picture. That's going into that right there. That's why it's written. You get context to the picture now. Now this is next page, 62. Native Americans were unfamiliar with Spanish military technique and horsemanship. By absorbing the descendants of Sephardic refugees, the Chicameca also absorbed equestrian skills. Ladino Chicameca horsemen then became a threat to the stability of the Spanish colony by attacking Spanish settlements and missions. Now we were just talking about Florida, right? La Florida, and how they had posts, right? And you see how these people are attacking these posts wherever they got their shit set up at, right? You know what I mean? This was happening. And it says Ladino Chicameca were described by English missionary priests visiting Mexico City around 1645. Now, we just read to y'all that Carolina don't even get started till 1663, right? Then we just said that. Okay, make sure we're on the same page, y'all. Make sure we're on the same page now. It says he wrote, this is the missionary, the English missionary priest wrote, nay, a blackamoor or tawny young maid enslaved will make hard shift, but she will be in fashion. The attire of this base sort of blackamoors and mulattoes, which are of a mixed nature of Spanish and blackamoor, is so light and their carriage so enticing that many Spaniards of the best sort disdain their wives for them. Their bare, black, and tawny breasts are covered with bobs from their chains and pearls. Some people dressed up with chains and pearls. Ain't talking about no
been like that.
We ain't talking about
no slave chains. Let me blow it up.
We ain't talking about no slave chains. They talking about
nah.
They ain't talking about no slave chains.
Been rocking them pearls and ice. This is what we do, man.
They ain't talking about no slave chains. Yeah, it says how the family migrated from. Now, are y'all hearing me? You might check one time. I'll make sure.
Yeah, you good? You can hear me?
All right, yeah, we're good. Make sure.
Yeah.
All right, so what it said, Sarah Junco is the woman tied to this subject of information, descended from the same people of the Mozarbis who were described as blackamoors / gypsies and or Ladino Chicameca in the colonial Mexico, then called New Spain. How the family migrated from Mexico to New England, thence to South Carolina, will be explained momentarily. But first, the explanation of the term Amorgarakan is in order. See, I got to make sure I give it to y'all like that. It's Carolina Genesis, y'all. Right? Carolina Genesis. See what they show? This is what the Amorgarakan are being depicted as. Amorgar. You know what I mean? I say Amakari. All right. So Amorgarkans on the Atlantic coast. The earliest appearance of a variant of the name Amorgarakan in the land that eventually became the United States is recorded by the Spanish in 1680 as Amacaris. That's going to be spelled Amacarisse, a tribal name contained in the title of the Florida mission El Nombre de Dios de Macorís, which was acknowledged as a Yamasee town located in Temuco province of La Florida. We just got you showing you the map, right? La Florida, right? And it says Swanton applied the name Amacaris as the original name of the Yamacraw. An abbreviated form of the name Yamasee appears in South Carolina records as Amasi. And that's going to be spelled Amassi, Carolina. Now, remember, this is why I think I sort this book out, because when I came to Allensdale, right, and they were using these certain terms, I'm like, I got it. And this book, I guess, what happened, I came across it. I bought this book, right? You know what I mean? And it had a lot of this stuff that I was like questioning while I'm in Allensdale. Like, wait a minute, something I wasn't told this. So, boom, like, from there, I'm a Macario on my side. Shout out to my Maroons outside. We I'm a Macario. I'm gonna tell y'all when I see y'all next time. I'm going to this little more. But either way, that's the loosely Amacario for a reason. Gutley, you heard? It says the compounded prefixes omogari, a Morgari, or a Macari, or similar, or more, or ama, from the Spanish denotes beloved, probably derived from the Sephardic Amora. And Gari, or Gael, denotes people in the Muskegon language family. And so Omagari and a Macari of a bilingual etymology is roughly translated as the beloved people. Macari, you heard? Yeah. Some South Carolina public records, South Carolina, we talking about Carolina, right? Public records prior to the Yamasee War of 1715 mention the Yamasee as the Amacario on the Westabo, also known as Savannah River. Yamakarion, Very Yamasee, and all that. Francisco de Chicora, circa 1721, when he was held in captivity by the Spanish. Right. All this is happening in North America, right? All this is happening with Carolina being developed, with Florida already being there, and Carolina saying, well, we claiming this shit. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the indigenous people who are dealing with the Spanish, the French, and the British in all these cases, like how we talked about Emperor Brim a few weeks back.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So within that Muskegon, right, Emperor Brim, Bramarin, that was on the map that we showed you, right, that part. With the Sephardic, I told you last night. You see how this person also got talking about Sephardic, Marano, Blackamoor? Okay, I'm just saying there's a consistent chain of me seeing these and their surnames and them
and
saying
these mixtures is documented.
Right, it's not like it's in Carolina.
Heavily.
In Carolina. All right now. Now, well, you know, moving on. Now, the Junco family, descendants of the Northeast. Make sure y'all see it. This is going to be on page 67, right? It says Junco, the Alto de Fe reached the Chicamecan areas of northern New Mexico by 1569, forcing my ancestors to abandon their lands in Mexico. Some sought refuge in the remote and secluded areas of Louisiana. Other Ladino Chicameca families became indentured sailors aboard Spanish vessels, as well as privateers raiding those very same vessels. As a Ladino Chicameca, seafaring was a familiar form of employment for our ancestors early on since Spain's 1492 Inquisition. New Orleans, Louisiana, was a mecca for all types of seafaring profits, whether legal or illegal. Jacqueline Mate, that's what it Matte, you know what I'm saying? The tribal historian of the Mowa Choctaw of Alabama reported that Daniel Reed, English for Junco, the tribal patriarch of that same tribe, was Portuguese from Haiti, Mexico, or Louisiana. You heard that?
Yep.
Yeah. Beyond the color line. That's what the book also got tied to it. When you look up the name of the book, Beyond the Color Line. Because see, some people put this in the color line today. These boxes be black, white, and African and European, and these terms overlapping, reclassifying your family tree ancestry to being just this color code. You know what I'm talking about? But it ain't true. You know that ain't true. You know your mixture. But some people now want to go paying this and paying that. But it's pseudo this and pseudo that. You hear me?
And they only hurting themselves when you do that. You know what I'm saying? Because if somebody challenge your claim and you opening yourself up because you're not being honest or you haven't studied far enough to really understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
No, that most definitely. Oh, most definitely. You hear me? It's a lot to consider within these, you know what I mean, this information of our heritage that's taking place in North America, South America, or the Caribbean. You know what I mean? And how people are migrating within these lines or being brought from out of this area into this area or from that area out into these other areas, right? That's happening within the scope, you know what I mean, of our development, you know what I'm saying? And before United States of America was formed, when these colonies were in place. So however, I went to this page 68 real quick, right? In the same book. And you can pull up the my slide, that you was getting ready to show the first time now, because we almost there. We almost there. So you can pull up the slide. I'm still read a little bit from this right here, though. You know what I'm saying? So on page 68 of this book, it says, given the Mercado world map was drawn at the same time that the Inquisition reached North Mexico, it's plausible that Junco Reed family of Sephardic and indigenous Chicamecan origin either was forcibly removed from Mexico or sought asylum from the Mexican Inquisition to the Mohegan Mohican territory around that time, especially when considering a Spanish presence in the area as indicated by the Spanish place names of the Mercader map. The second scenario, expulsion rather than flight, offers the most logical explanation of the Junco family's presence among Mohegan, perhaps as early as 1569. In 1676, after Holland transferred the region to England, English colonists considered dark-skinned Moors and dark-skinned natives of New England to be indistinguishable. According to David McRitchie, in Ancient and Modern Britons, in 1681, the Indians of New England, or Moors as they were called by English, were described by Quaker William Penn to be as black as gypsies. Native and gypsy Sephardic Marrano miscegnation took place early on. Miscegnation, you know what that means, right? They were getting it on.
Yep.
They would have sex. All right, anyway, and have children. During colonial times, they Creole. Now, does it make one of them not have Indian ancestry and the other one? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you going to say about that? However, it's happening. And they got record of this in their family trees, like this people in this book right here. So, where was I? Okay, boom. All right, so resulting from Spanish trade and slavery, McRitchie further reiterated in a footnote that gypsies of that time period were virtually the blackamoors. The English settlers who later colonized the western shores of the Atlantic Ocean described the local Indians to be black as gypsies. In actuality, their complexions ranged. See how I said that? In actuality, their complexions ranged from golden hue to deep bronze, which means they ain't all one complexion.
That sound like us.
Right. Many of the Indians, however, darkened their already swarthy complexions by applying bear oil as a repellent against mosquitoes and other insects. Writer Edmund W. Goose reported that by the mid-1700s, large bands of Moors, black-skinned people, roamed up and down the area, taking liberties from the local farms that were once the plantations and lands of the local indigenous native peoples of New England. These native people and their allied Chichimecan Moor, Ladino Chichimecan, embodied the Almagorican ancestry, were despised by the English colonial invaders who encroached upon their lands. Oh yeah. And then it comes down, and obviously it gets through. I'm gonna read this, and it says obviously the Amora family appears as Almagorican in historical annals of the northeastern American Indian land transactions as hereditary envoys among various tribes, clans, and families. The name transitioned from Amora to Junco, and finally to Reed. And it says, represented a Christianized, anglicized of the family as part of a Marrano / Amoragarakan diaspora found among the Ispos, the Minotoc, the Nantic, the Mohegan, the Pequot, the Mahacan, and the Montaukett, and Wapaneer Indians. This movement manifested my family's presence formally as a Moragarakan in New York, as well as in New England as a native and tribal conglomerate compelled to expand into the South, specifically South Carolina, as free people of color to escape the colonial ethnocide in the North. Story very interesting, right?
Escape though, say it again.
To escape the colonial ethnocide in the North.
Okay.
They left the New York area and went into Carolina as free people of color. You see what I'm saying?
Which was always the problem from the beginning. So when these folks came in, this new system, they was trying to do it in the Northeast. And then they had all these problems because they was trying to do it the European way. Because you had people like the Lord proprietors. They was trying to enforce, oh, no, we need to do this like they would do in Great Britain. But nah, them boys was over here seeing how them Indians was living. Some of them other Europeans they never met before. They saw some of the ideas they had. They was like, man, you know what? We finna do our own thing, bro. What they gonna do? What they gonna do? Come over here and find us?
What they gonna do?
They ain't finna come find me over here, bro. I'm out. You know Them boys was sliding. They was going to all these different places and then getting in where they fitting in. Wasn't no control. From Europe didn't have no control. They only owned the land on paper, bro.
That's what we keep telling people though. Don't let that colonial thing fool you now. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
However, on this slide, this is the ethno side, you know what I'm saying? But on this slide, this book to me is all about ethnogenesis. All right.
Yeah.
That's what we got to be understanding today with our mixtures and whatever they classified as Negro, black, and colored. With our mixtures, and some of you have different kind of mixtures. Everybody ain't the same. But however the case, in our ethnogenesis, identity, fluidity, and mixed peoples in colonial America, reclassified from Babylon to America. You heard me? Take you back. Because they talking about them Sephardic. They got either way. Early America had fluid racial categories. Carolinas were a convergence zone, which means the Carolina became a melting pot of a lot of different peoples living in this area that is being developed, as we just broke down, tied to King Charles II. So Carolina were a convergence zone. A modern race is a later construct. Just let you know the development of the genesis of a Carolina, that there's no such thing as race at this time, right? So indigenous, and that term Blackamoor would be in this place for the people they're talking about, but they're going to be today, they say African, European, and then funny enough, Sephardic populations blended. See how they threw the Sephardic part in there. Interesting, right? Result, mixed populations, you know what I'm saying?
Shocker.
All that's right there happening. All this is blending in Carolina in this time frame, 16th, 17th century. You know what I mean? So after 1492, the Sephardic dispersion, I wasn't reading this book, right? And expulsion and inquisition called diaspora into the Americas, as it shows in the records of this. La Florida, you know what I'm saying? Before the Carolina thing even came about. That's why we showed you that in the beginning, right? So how on the maps and stuff like that, these posts, you know what I'm saying? So boom, keep going. Diaspora route model, Yemen, funny enough, because we talking about Blackamoors, North Africa, Spain, New Spain, Carolinas. Show you a route of how some of these people are, where they're coming from in some cases, and coming to the place today we would call Carolina. You know what I'm talking about? Some of these different groups of people coming in, right? Keep it sliding. Case-based lineage evidence, not universal identity. So again, just for clarification, I always make sure I give it to y'all. I'm not saying everybody has the same exact as the Junco family in here, or the Goins family that's in here. It's different families that there's 3 different authors tied to this book, and they're tracking of it's like genealogical, historical, you know what I mean, book off their mixtures and different things. So funny enough though, they all have a connection to Carolina. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not saying that all y'all in this chat tonight, or everybody we talking to is listening to this conversation about your ancestry might be tied to Carolina. It's the same as what's in this book. But however, in this book, they're saying these things are here within their lineage and their commixtures of things. So we know outside of that, it was here. But however, mixed communities, labels, Mulatto, Indian, Negro, reality, administrative classifications. These are not the terms like, Chikameka or tribal names.
It has nothing to do with your nationality. You could be either one of these. You could be the exact same lineage as the next person, and y'all could have a different label.
Exactly right. This book definitely has that breakdown of that in here. Reality, like we said, that's the harsh reality of what happened with these populations and what people are doing in America that are being labeled free people of color beyond the color line. You heard me? Like the paper bag. Any more on this one? Joseph Willis. Okay. Joseph Willis moved from mixed status to white identity. It's showing you how people that had mixtures and some of them were able to pass beyond the color line and be labeled differently from their own ancestral mixtures who are darker. You know what I mean? And this is messed up a lot of people's ancestry or family situations. Movement to escape racial laws and reset identity. So that's what a lot of people that Maroon, they say run away. You know what I'm talking about? But if you migrate from one area and go into another area, you're looking for a better situation. You know what I mean? And at that time, that's what these people were looking to do. and some of us are doing it now, like during the COVID, how many people moved from out of New York or certain areas because they didn't want to be caught up in the COVID during, you know what I mean? They migrated.
Correct. Then you go start a family, you gonna do things. So now you just like what Ms. Angela say, you mixing you families, lineages, ethnogenesis. You don't know, you know what I'm saying? So it's so easy for it to happen. And we kind of discounted that in our history and feel like everybody just gotta have the same story no matter what. You was made on a breeding farm, boy. That's how your lineage get here. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. So, as a matter of fact, go back to Joseph Willis real quick. Matter of fact, I got his page. I got him right here. Go back to him right there. All right, real quick. All right, so with him real quick, you say the history and understanding the life of Joseph Willis begins with his birth. He was born a slave between 1755 and 1758 in what was then Bladen, now Robeson County, North Carolina, in the Drowning Creek, now Lumber River region of southeastern North Carolina, the only son of a slave owner, Algerton Willis, and a slave woman. Joseph was born into slave status. You know what I'm saying? Just to gain his freedom, Joseph Willis had to be manumitted by legal means, which, as it turned out, was not an easy process. Algerton Willis attempted manumission by his will, which met some seemingly and temporary resistance from his own brother. It says Daniel, one of the executors of his estate, manumission by a will, however, was not the only avenue. Peak game now, Joseph Willis right here. To freedom. Although a North Carolina law permitted slave manumission for meritorious services, to be adjudged by and allowed by a county court. The General Assembly also assumed the power to set slaves free. This precisely what happened in the case of Joseph Willis. In November 1787, Joseph's first cousin, John Willis, a member of the North Carolina General Assembly, and ironically, son of Daniel Willis, Joseph's uncle, introduced a bill to emancipate Joseph, a mulatto slave, the property of the estate of Algerton Willis, late of Bladen, deceased. The bill was passed on December 6, 1787. Joseph, who had already been living as a free person, was legally given his freedom, entitled to all the rights and privileges of a free person of mixed blood. The first mention of Joseph in Bladen County, North Carolina, was in the county's 1788 tax list, where he had 320 acres. The tax list is confusing, but it appears he should have received more. It shows that originally there were 530 acres in Algerton Willis's estate. Daniel Willis Sr., Joseph's uncle and executor of his brother's estate, was listed as having 1,840 acres in the same list. Apparently, you hear me? You see, boy, I had to read about Willis real quick to y'all now.
I'm glad you did, because do you know what you just described, bro?
Yeah, I know what I just described. You see, they got land. They say he's a slave man, you admit it, but he mixed in all that.
But that's his daddy.
Yeah, his family, his uncles and them disputing about him being free.
Okay, so let's stop and let's because this something so simple to us is very in this example. So they say we crazy. The definition literally. Okay, so when you go to family literally is saying that everybody is a slave to the estate, and the estate holder is the man. Unless he passed away, then it's the widow, right? That's how it worked at this time. So you are a child and you were born to this estate, you are a servant of the family. So this is why he had to get manumitted by the city, by the county, to be able to be as the new owner of this land.
That part.
Because technically he was never manumitted by his father before his passing.
To be able to own land now. You can't own land.
Own land. That's what they had to do with
have your own estate, to have the land underneath your down being the trust. Shout out to trustee friends.
Trust talk. And they was hey, perfect. Hey, good. So right up here.
Listen, I know what I'm talking about.
This is why you need estate planning. Good job.
Why you need estate planning? I know what I'm doing. Don't talk about. I had to throw that in there for that.
Hey, hit the QR code up here to get you a free consultation for your family, so you don't end up like Joseph Willis and had a whole 1,000 acres could be set out for you, but the way your trust is being executed was not proper. But hey, seriously though, this whole thing with the slavery is literally showing you that it was about. So when you think about this, now you'll understand why slaves had the same names as a slave master. They was actually really family, bro. Wasn't no white man that wouldn't capture 100 niggas and got them on the field working for his enrichment. Nah, that was us and multiple variations of people getting money, establishing a family, and by the law during the time, anybody that's under this provision would be a slave to that estate. Period.
They, that part. Someone said they in the chat. They, yeah, that part. They. That's kinfolk. Yeah. Hey, look, there's a little more to him. Look, I had to go back to Joseph. We talking about Willis. You don't know about talking about Willis? What you got with that fishing rod over there? Hold on. Reel him in. I'm gonna reel him in. All right, so I'm gonna show this to y'all real quick though. Hold on, no, don't. It's too small. I can't even do it right. It's too small. It don't make no sense. All right, so this other part.
What you got?
What I got was they got the actual like the Willis, like the letter in the law of what happened on page 149 of Willis homeboy right here. And that family estate part, the whole layout. All right, so and it's crazy how it goes into a time frame of this family, Willis surname. It is in the War of America Independence that Joseph's name appears again. Repeat gang. You know what I'm saying? Same Joseph Willis. It says he told his family that he was one of Francis Marion's men in that war. If that is true, young Joseph left to join with Marion while he was still legally a slave and resident of Bladen County, North Carolina. Soon after the Revolution and back in Bladen County, Joseph, according to family tradition, married Rachel Bradford. Excuse me. Later, Louisiana census records show that both were born in North Carolina. The young family would not remain in North Carolina for long. However, when the state passed more repressive racial laws, numerous free persons of color fled to South Carolina. The Joseph Willis family, perhaps to escape these laws, moved to South Carolina. There were also other possibilities. Joseph's father had died in 1777, and probably his mother also had died. It's conceivable that Joseph Willis, with no close family ties, simply wanted to get away from his past and seek his fortune elsewhere. You heard me? So it goes into leaving Bladen County, and it tells us about obviously the PD region, and it's all side to Carolina. You know what I mean? And obviously within that, is Joseph Willis is one of the interesting, like, estate conversations of land and everything, status and everything. And within this book, I'll call it Carolina Genesis. This book has a lot in it when you look at all the angles that they're reporting about what's happening in their ethnogenesis within what we call today the Carolina Territory, because this is the build for it. You hear me? What we can slide on from that. You know what I'm saying? I know I went back, right? So triracial communities throughout the Carolina.
We already did that. Actually, I don't know where we was at, to be honest.
I came to the conclusion about what was being called slavery for sure.
Yeah.
So, but hardened race laws. I just read how he himself, Joseph Willis, was fleeing out of areas that were strictening.
Because it was changing. And they
like,
coming after that land, bro.
Yeah, and these people are leaving their areas where their land and their estates are at because they don't want to be treated a certain way within these. Anyways, Negro rule now. Shout out to Amos, right? We talked about Negro rule, and they didn't want. I ain't gonna mess y'all up. I ain't gonna mess y'all up though. Keep on sliding. Harder than race. Race theory came in after when, right before United States of America came about. However, reclassification system, reclassified. Census law institutions reshaped identity within Carolina and just the whole North America. Septenarius, Macarios, North America. So Gullah Creole connection, because it's kind of tied to that Creole soul. You heard me? Hybrid cultures formed from blending. And I think this book gives you that Creole soul right here of the Carolinas right here in this book right here. You heard me? So make sure you tap in. I think it's a little bit more because I think I don't want to give y'all too much and then mess up the next one I got planned for y'all with this Carolina movie. You heard me? So any questions out there in the chat before we slide? You can slide up, keep sliding though. You heard me?
Nah, everybody just leaving their comments. But like Miss Sherry say here, that's why Buddy he was able to go and classify as white. So that's how he
Another
able to go and
area.
tell his story. Yeah, but everybody wouldn't have that wouldn't be possible for you. Feel me? So everybody can't write their story at this time and detail it and document it the way they was able to. You feel me? But this was very common in what was happening, and they reframed the story to us because it all revolved around the land, bro. They had to figure out a way to account and acquire this new land. They couldn't take it all by force. So they had to create these systems. This little, you know what I'm saying? They created the problem where they already had the solution for. That's their number one game plan.
That part. Shout out to Miss Sherry too.
Yeah, shout out to our area.
She right there in Carolina. You heard? Shout out to Jay, my dog out in Jay.
Jay.
You know what I mean? Shout out to my daughter up there in the Carolina territory at A&T right now too. See what I'm saying? Be back down next week though, but it is what it is. Shout out to all my people in the Carolinas, Southeast, Georgia, Alabama, Florida. You already know what it is. But at the same time, everybody in North America, to wherever you may be, there's always love and peace from our side. Mobile adaptive populations resisting control. That's what Maroon is about. You see, American Maroon shit. We don't want to be controlled and constrained from moving in the most best ways to pursue our happiness and you know what I mean?
Yep.
And things in pursuit of prosperity. You heard me? Autonomously speaking. Acts 9:2 in the Bible. However the case, you got to realize what we're dealing with, and that's what a lot of y'all are dealing with too. In your own ethnogenesis of your family tree and what you're trying to discover that might have been kept from you or wasn't told or family might have lost it. Books like this kind of give you a good insight on what, you might be going through as well too, and things that you found out and you're like, wait a minute, hey, hold on now. So the ethnogenesis model is I subscribe to the ethnogenesis model, not the ethnocide. And some of us want to keep up with ideologies that are really not really giving you the shedding light on your ethnogenesis, which is tied to your ethnic ideal of who you are or ethnicities that you've mixed with in your family tree, to where you just now want to sum it up as a race thing, which we know is a game being played. And this is supposed to be Monopoly, not checkers. So ethnogenesis, you hear me? Conclusion, reclassification reshaped identity, but did not erase it, that Creole soul. It did not, it can't. It's this in you. You hear me? So that's what we tapping in. You hear me? Appreciate
Hey, that's what makes us so different. That's why we can't align with everybody else politically, spiritually, because we got a whole nother, dance, a little rhythm that we've been moving to because of our history. And we ain't been protecting it. Yeah.
That came out of the colonial time frame before the United States was even formed. And then even got even more, you know what I mean? In the time frame after the United States is formed, that most of us that you're looking back on census records that you could trace and seeing your people being reclassified in these different state organized areas that tied to governance and municipalities, etc., and free people of color. You know what I'm talking about? And then acting like, well, all y'all darkies are just Africans. Well,
right.
You know what I mean, buddy? That don't make no sense, because how are you guys walking around wearing Indian outfits? Did y'all mix with the Indians too? I was wrong to say you didn't, right? But at the same time, you said we didn't because we dark. That don't work that way. Just like somebody saying a dark-skinned person could have been mixed with a European. What are you talking about? Makes sense. Y'all be messing with white people today. Spanish people and everything. Mixing with whatever sorts of stuff. Y'all know what y'all like. Stop playing games with the ethnogenesis, man. Y'all be coming down here acting like y'all, I don't know, tripping or something.
Talking crazy.
Yeah, talking crazy. I don't know what that is. However the case might go, I appreciate y'all for tapping in with us live. The harsh reality is live life autonomously. Anything you got for him, Monte, before we slide?
Yeah, real quick. So, as the media director, man, I've been working behind the scenes. We got a lot of new partnerships that we done made. One of them that you see, the OYN show, basically just so you understand, we never really outright described it, but we are called the Autonomous Party Network for a reason, because part of what, our ministry with the big guy got us on is, we know to spread the message, we got to hit people from a lot of different vantage points. It can't just all be history 24/7, even though that's our cornerstone. So basically, when you see his new content out, send it to, even though you may not be on that, send it to people who you want to learn this information, because this is what'll probably bring them in. You feel me? And then hopefully we can bring them to church right here. You feel me?
Definitely.
So
Sunday.
that's what it is.
Right, that part. You know what I mean? This Sunday's ministry. You know what I mean? Shout out to the party, the ministry. Again, don't forget, like you said, the media, the network. Obviously, we got the hospitality side. We have the social club side. The party is an actual real party. And we got all of them, by the way.
In motion.
Yeah, we in motion. It ain't no just talking our cap. Ain't no cap in the rap. You heard me? The fishing rods. You heard me? And it ain't cheap either. However the case, tap in with us, though. We appreciate everybody that's been supporting us. If you go to the Patreon, even if you don't got the money right now, subscribe to us so we can keep you up on events and stuff. Because we'll be showing a lot of different events and things that we do in South Florida. Obviously, too, if we start moving around, we touch down in your area, you'll be able to find out through our Patreon. That's how we're going to move with that. And we can tap in and communicate and do some things and hopefully network with you where you're located at. And hopefully next year we can get a lot of y'all to come down to Maroonville, South Florida. You heard me? Yeah. At the end of the day, we appreciate y'all for tapping in. And again, tap in. See, that's the acronym. The Autonomous Party Network, tap in. So that's why the ministry side and everything we do, we can do weddings. See, we got the power to do weddings. I can marry y'all. You having children? You get married? We can help you out with that. Just like the estate side. See, we want everything to be autonomous, right? So we got to make sure everything's transparent in the way what we do autonomously for what's best for our collective and what we're doing. And that's what it's about, or more than anything, for trying to identity banging and all that, piece of them or not. However the case, you want smoke, we can get it. But it's Maranatha. And Maranatha, our Lord has come. Shout out to Miss Sherry. That's our acronym for living out righteous decisions. LORD. You heard me? Our Lord has come, bit autonomously. Living out righteous decisions. You heard me? Maranatha. So tap in.
Breathe,
bit. You heard me? Peace.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
They cut the story into pieces. Told us pick one. They gave me a color, said live inside this. Found my name down, made it fit in their system. Whole bloodline got trimmed to a sentence. Now I'm looking in the mirror like something been missing. Got rivers in me, they never mapped out. Got names in my bones, they never let out. Every time I felt different, I was there, right? They just buried the truth under headlines. Split me up, then they labeled it clarity. Now we fighting over fragments of identity. If I'm everything, why they narrow me? I'm putting all my pieces back deliberately. Don't dilute me, don't reduce me. I'm a blend they couldn't blueprint. Every layer got a voice. Let it speak. It's that Creole soul. Unfold, don't fold. Every root I hold, turn me hold. It's that Creole soul. Not one code, I've been told. Now I know. Yeah. Feel that? That ain't confusion. That's memory. Been walking around edited versions, whole identity stuck behind curtains. Took the depth and traded it for surface. Now we searching for worth and what they purchased. But I feel it when the rhythm hit different, like my body recognized what's been hidden. Certain sounds make my spirit sit up like you've been here before. I can't forget it. They simplified us just to manage the narrative, turned inheritance into comparison. But the truth don't break under pressure. It just wait for the right ones to carry it. Don't dilute me, don't reduce me. Yeah, I'm a blend that couldn't blueprint. Every layer got a voice. Let it speak. It's that Creole soul, unfold, don't fold. Every root I hold, turn me hold. It's that Creole soul. Not one cold, I've been told. Now I know. I don't gotta choose a side. I don't gotta cut my ties. Every line inside me mine. I'm the sum, not the fraction. I'm the truth past the caption. All my blood in alignment. Say it plain. We not one note, we harmony. Now I move like I carry an archive. Every step got a past that survive. I ain't searching for self in they boxes. I rebuilt it from what they tried to hide. So when I speak, it's layered intention. Not just pain, it's full dimension. We don't need their permission. We remember, that's the mission. Don't dilute me, don't reduce me. Don't dilute me. I'm a blend they couldn't blueprint. Every layer got a voice. Let it speak. It's that Creole soul. Unfold, don't fold. Every root I hold, turn me hold. It's that Creole soul. Not one code, I've been told. Now I know. They told us pick one. We picked all of it. That's power.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folk. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.
Am I feeling late? Oh, open sky, okay, shine the money with your best. Open way, baby. Oh, the money with your best.
before the stamps, before the cities climbed the land. There were places left unclaimed when no one needed someone's name. Between the empire there was room, a quiet space the maps assume. Rivers bending without command, whole world's living off the land. Smoke from fires it hid and grow, paths only the people know. No throne above, no census hand, just living wide in the borderland. Where the map was blank and made a home, where the wind could move, can the people roam? No chains or streets, no number plans. Life was breathing in the borderland. Then came the papers, then came the rule, then came the voices naming who is who. Lines appeared where none had been, boxes made for every skin. Land turned into deeds and claims, neighbors turned to census names. The roads grew tight where forests stood, brick and iron replaced the wood, and step by step the open land folded into a city plan. Where the map was blank, we made our home, where the wind could move, and the people roam. Towers rise, the rivers ran, but the story started in the borderland. Freedom wasn't written down, it lived in ground beneath our feet. Before the courts could frame a word, the people shaped their own heartbeat. Walk on pavement stone, never knowing fields once grown. But every song the choir sings opens that wide world again, because the land beneath the street still remembers every beat of lives once lived without command across the open borderlands. Where the map was blank, we made a home where the wind could move, and the people roam. You can build your walls and number the land where the spirit started in the borderland. Before the cities, before the plans, we were living in the borderlands.
Black leaves in the Mississippi River. Black leaves in the Mississippi fire. Black leaves in the Mississippi choir. Black leaves on the Mississippi land. And we've got God and cotton, we've got sons and daughters, we've got grit and glory, we've got mother stories, we've got strength like towers, we've got hope and power.
God made woman with an iron hand, raised her up on heaven's land. God made woman with an iron hand, raised her up on heaven's land.
Strength like towers, we got hope and power. an iron hand, raise her up on heaven's land.
Now I read the message you sent,